Hey guys, it's Daryl. It's Monday morning, and since I promised I would not overload my channel with videos, making this video, it's on my mind. I came up with something that I think is very pertinent, but I'm going to save this to post till Tuesday morning. But anyway, this is what I'm thinking. So this morning while I was on my walk, I'm trying to think about guns, gun safety, gun rights, the shootings we have, the problems we have with shootings, mass shootings here in America. And I'm trying to avoid the snap judgment, the knee-jerk reactions. And I'm trying to think, okay, where are the problems at? Where are the murders happening, first of all, and why? Okay? The mass shootings. Okay, we have people that have mental health problems that are very hard to figure out sometimes. The Sandy Hook incident here, the mother covered it up. That's one instance. Look, I'm going to say something that I know a lot of conservatives and Trump supporters are going to dislike, but an overwhelming amount of the recent mass shootings are fanatic right side, far right conservatives that just snap. I can't, I don't know if Las Vegas, Florida, Virginia, I don't Texas, where the guy talked about Mexican immigrants and animals. I mean, we could sit here and debate all day how much they're tied to Trump, but almost all these people had past history on the internet, on social media of ranting about the same stuff Trump rants about. All right, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here today. I started thinking about the deaths in the inner city and the cities, about gangs, drug dealers getting guns, the gun violence like in Chicago and New York, Washington, D.C. I don't think we hear it. They're not mass shootings, but we don't hear. I don't think we hear that in the statistics as much. All the killing that's going on in the inner cities here in Hartford, it's ridiculous. Sometimes, especially during the summer months, we have killings every week, shootings every night. And I started to think about this. They're not included in these statistics because they're not mass shootings a lot. So I started to think, what's the problem here? How are these guys getting the guns? Where's the problem here? And all of a sudden, a light went on, and I'm a little embarrassed that it took this long. Here's a connection between me being a recovering addict. I've got about 25 years, what I would call experience in the drug culture, from the years of 18, 16, 17, 18, to up till I was 40 years old. And I'm talking about, I don't want to incriminate myself here, but from drug using to drug dealing to drug distribution to firearms, all aspects of it. I was familiar with it. And let me tell you one thing that I forgot. I forgot this. These are going to be stories I heard, not just myself, not just people around me, but I was in and out of over 13 or 14 detoxes and rehabs, St. Francis Hospital in Hartford. I'm going to tell you about one story I heard there. Stories about good, hardworking men, good jobs, gun owners, lots of guns, gun safes. Some of these were my friends. They get addicted. They start partying. They start using a little cocaine. It turns to a little crack. After work, the drug problem gets a little worse. Some of these guys had back injuries, shoulder injuries, and they started being prescribed OxyContins. Okay, this is a true story. I forgot all about this. A lot of these guys, you run low on money. They don't want their families missing money. They take a gun out of the gun safe and they pawn it. That's how it starts. I've heard this story myself. I've been personally involved in these stories myself. After a while, I pawn stuff at pawn shops. You don't want these pawn guys knowing your business. When you're going in and out there pawning guns and stuff, or pawning TVs. You're already, you look high or geeked out. So sometimes after the drug addiction gets worse, you start pawning right to the guy. Maybe a guy you know has extra pills. So you start pawning, giving him your pistol to hold on to. And eventually, what this happens to come to is these guys giving, selling, trading their firearms to dealers for drugs. And I've seen this. I can't believe I forgot all about this. I've heard these stories over and over. There's certain things that drug dealers love to get that will have no problem trading drugs for. A 16th like that for a 22. They love the pistols. They're untraceable. They can't come back to them. And they love these guns. They will trade drugs in a second for these guns, especially the pistols. Oh, and a semi-automatic. If you have an AR-15 or a fucking Uzi or something like that, something illegal. Oh my God, you can get instant service, an ounce or whatever. And they also trade your vehicle. They call them crack cars, rock rentals. They need transportation, and these are unregistered. And people that are using, some of my buddies, we'd be at the bar, they would trade their car to the drug dealer for a couple hours for some rock rentals and pistols. Very, very hot commodity with drug dealers. And these were good, hardworking guys. Now, it started out where they told themselves they'd get the gun back. It started with the pawn shop. Then it went to dealers they kind of knew that weren't really dealers, guys with pills. And then it just goes straight out to heroin dealers as the drug addiction gets worse. I've seen this. I'm going to tell you one story, and this is an unbelievable story, but it's the truth. St. Francis Hospital. This guy was about 28. He was from the farm areas around here, the rural areas. And he was missing an eye. And at St. Francis, like I said, we were in a detox, and he told a story about it. He ended up pawning a gun to a dealer in Hartford for about, I think it was like maybe a bundle, 10 bags of heroin. His drug addiction got worse. He never got the pistols back. As the addiction got worse, he started to rob drug dealers. Now, this is a rare story because not a lot of people rob their drug dealers because you're burning bridges there too. And he was stupid enough he no longer had firearms. He traded them all, so he used an airsoft gun to rob a drug dealer. And you guessed it, he tried to rob the guy the drug dealer that he had already traded his, I think it was a 22 actually, a pistol. He had traded the 22 to, and he ended up getting shot in the eye, taking his eye out by a drug dealer with the gun that he had traded the drug dealer. Now, none of this was proven. This was all in confidence in an NA meeting, and I feel okay talking about it now because I'm not saying any names, any times, any dates, any places. And he did not report any of this to the police, so there's no definite trace of the bullet. But, he was shot in the eye by this drug dealer with a 22, and it just so happens the same drug dealer he had traded a 22, he had given his 22 pistol to not long before. So more than 99% chance that he got shot in the eye by a drug dealer with his own pistol. Yeah, this is what happens with drug addiction. It is a nasty, terrible thing. You get to a point where you want to die. I remember doing stuff that I remember this one last story. It has nothing to do with guns, but I remember going to my family's house and hitting them up for money because I was dope sick. And I made up a lie. I remember as soon as I got back into my car with that money, I started bawling like a baby because I felt so fucking guilty of lying to my family every day for this money. And by the time I got to the drug dealer's house, 15 minutes away in the city, I was still crying. And it was a girl dealing heroin. She asked me why, what's wrong? And I made up a story about one of my friends dying of an overdose. That's why I was crying. She ends up giving me 2 extra bags, just what I needed, because she felt pity for me. And that just made me feel how 10 times worse. But this is just the point of how bad drug addiction gets and what a problem it is in this country. A lot of the guns that are in the hands of gangs, of drug dealers, of inner city situations are coming like that, are coming from trading. Uh, People that were good, hardworking people getting an addiction and trading off their guns for drugs. Believe me, I can't believe this didn't come to my back to my mind sooner. I've been out of this for over 13 years now, and I forget some. Sometimes a lot of the details. There's so much that has faded to the back of my mind. Stuff that I don't want to remember too. But yeah, so this came to mind today. A lot of good, hardworking guys. So how do you stop that? When somebody starts first developing a drug problem, going to mental health, should there be a law that questions if they are in possession of any weapons at that time? If anybody seeks drug help, should their guns be taken right away? How are you going to do that? What's the legality and all that? I don't have the answers. I'm telling you guys how a lot of these guns are getting into drug dealers' hands. And this is it. They're being put willingly in the drug dealers in these gangs' hands by good people that develops bad drug problems. And believe me, it happens every day. I guarantee you, hundreds, thousands of times a day across this country, this happens. So yeah, so this is a problem. The solution, I'm not sure. Now here's another point. I inherited a lot of guns. There's none in this residence. I'll just put it at that. What I'm saying could actually limit me from getting weapons. Because I had a drug problem. So would you want to include anything that after 13 years, should I be tested for a period to see if I can get back my possession of pistols or weapons? I don't know. There's a lot of legal problems with this. There's a lot of legal questions that would go into this, but it's a problem. It's a problem, and I don't remember anybody else bringing this up. This is something that a person with a lot of experience, past experience in drugs, drug dealing, drug distribution, and guns. This is something I know about, and I'm glad I have this channel to bring it up. Do I have answers? No, I don't. Not yet, not now. But this is how a lot of these guns that are used in robberies, shootings, carjackings, house burglaries, home invasions. This is where these guns are coming from good people that developed bad drug addictions. So there you go. Something to talk about. All right. You guys have a good day.